let's say you've determined you're ready to go seek therapy. How do you go about finding a therapist, and how do you know which therapist is right for you? So nowadays, if you have health insurance, most health insurances will also cover mental health care, and you can find a practitioner through your insurance. There's also several directories, online directories, where you can search for a therapist within your zip code, your area, and you can filter by specialties, languages spoken, the gender of the therapist if you have a preference. But more importantly than any of those filters is simply how you feel with a therapist. I always encourage people to try a few. You never know who you're going to click with. It's a comfort level. Therapists are not machines. Even the best therapists won't be great for everybody. So you really want to find somebody with whom you feel comfortable, whom you feel understands you. So try a couple of different people, and don't be discouraged if the first or the second or even the third one you try doesn't really work out well for you. It's one of those professions, unfortunately, that's still very heavily stigmatized compared to any other profession. I hear very often somebody will try therapy once, maybe they didn't like the therapist very much, the therapy didn't really work out for them, and they just immediately come out defeated, like, well, therapy is just not for me. I tried it and it's not for me. Well, you wouldn't do that with any other field, right? Like if you hired a plumber and it didn't work out for you, you're not going to swear off plumbing and say, oh, plumbing isn't for me, or dentistry isn't for me, if you happen to go to a bad dentist, right? So same with therapists. You may not immediately hit upon something that works for you. Try a couple of different ones. Don't give up, because ultimately the value is there and it's quite effective, and there's wonderful practitioners out there. Treat it a little bit like dating. See what fits for you personally. I always recommend give it at least 2-3 sessions with a single therapist before you decide permanently whether this is whether you want to keep going, whether it's the right fit for you. And how do you know if it's the right therapist? The easiest rule of thumb is trust your intuition. Do you want to go back? If you've seen a therapist and you feel like you want to go back, great, then do so. If you feel like you've had kind of a negative experience and you're really resisting going back, then don't. There's no strings attached. You can try a bunch of different people. You owe no one, you don't owe anything to anybody. So trust your gut instincts. How, if at all, should I prep for my first therapy session? The good news is that not much prep is required. This is where your therapist should be doing the bulk of the work, at least initially, in helping you to feel comfortable, in building a rapport and a relationship, in helping you understand what the therapeutic process is like, helping they should be learning and understanding why you're seeking therapy to begin with, and developing a game plan for you, a plan of action, a treatment plan. So there's not so much for you to do as there is for your therapist initially. Your work starts after that rapport is established and developed.